All right, we're good. Okay, hi guys. So this is sort of like a redo for the people that haven't seen this video already. I sent it to a couple of you guys. So it's just a little mobility test to just see where your pecs and your pec minor are at. So I explain a little bit more in the next part of the video, but this is the mobility test. All I want you to do is just lay on the floor, and I want you to just have your knees up and just be aware of where your spine is. And if your lower back's sitting in a nice neutral position, great. We want to try and avoid sticking our chests up and extending like we would do in a bench press. Although that does help in a bench, and that does reduce the need for this mobility. So the better the arch, the less likely this problem is going to bother you. But not all of us are blessed with good mobility and whatnot. So what I need you to do is just place your elbows up to the side and just see, with a neutral spine, if your wrists will naturally just drop to the floor. I've got a bit of a step there to worry about, but effectively, if you're anywhere above there, or you have to flex your wrist in order to get to the ground, I would say you're probably lacking a little bit of mobility there, and that's going to reduce your ability to retract and depress your shoulder blades and get them in a nice strong position to press from. Also, it's going to massively restrict, as some of you may have found out, your ability to get the bar that little bit lower on your back for a low bar squat, which obviously is going to limit your mechanical potential for lifting bigger weights with the squat as well. So yeah, next video is on how to fix it. Morning guys. So this is the second part to developing our shoulder mobility, specifically the external range in which we can retract and depress our shoulder blades. So what we're dealing with is tight pecs and pec minor effectively. I'll add an image to this video, but the pec minor is attaching from the shoulder blade basically down to the ribs, and when it contracts, it's responsible for like pulling you forward. And so if that becomes if the balance of tension between that and your posterior sort of like shoulder muscles becomes unbalanced, then you're going to start slouching forward a bit like an angry bulldog. So we need to really try and keep that thing loose, or when we're sort of like standing straight with neutral T-spine position, most people tend to slump, and that will make you look like you've got an imbalance in your shoulders. But if you actually stand up straight for your back, it's definitely the case for me. My shoulders will sit in a neutral position, but in a relaxed state, I tend to slump. So if your shoulder is neutral, and you can get a positive test on the sort of laying on the floor and getting your wrists flat, keeping your rib cage down. If you've got enough external range there, you're probably okay. But this is how I like to fix it. I have to move this camera around a bit. So effectively, all we're going to be doing is forcing the shoulder into that range that we want to develop. So what I've found works best is, rather than just having your arms straight up against the wall or a surface, keeping the elbow about shoulder height. It helps if you have the palm turned up and having the elbow free to rotate in its socket. So effectively, we're going to be doing this, okay? So it's not only horizontally abducting the arm, we're also getting external rotation of the shoulder as well. So it's combining those two movements together, and how high the arm sits needs to be somewhere around here, okay? So we're looking at elbow relative to shoulder, and just having a bit of a bend in the elbow so we can get that rotation. So palm facing up to the ceiling, palm, this sort of like the flat part of your palm into the solid object, and then you're just gonna turn away. And the way you can enhance this to get the rotation as well is just gently start dropping the chest. And you're gonna start feeling this come in real hard, and we're looking to feel the stretch in the front. If you get any pain in the back, that means we're getting too much sort of like abduction at the shoulder joint itself, and it's not a combination of the arm and the shoulder blade. So we're taking that joint too far, and we want to make sure that sort of like you keep your shoulder blades retracted and keep that stable. If you still get pain in the back of the shoulder, maybe not the best stretch for you, but this is probably the most effective one that I've come across. And if you have got a mobility issue and you can't get your wrist down to the floor in that test that I've given, then This is a pretty good one to develop it. In terms of time stretching, you really want to be looking at 30 seconds plus, so that you can relax into the stretch and let your brain kind of calm down from the pain of it, so to speak. I wouldn't necessarily do this before training. This isn't going to be like an immediate fix. This is something that's going to take time and daily practice, and eventually that test laying on the floor or up against the wall is going to improve. I think that covers everything just on that simple stretch. Yeah, I can't think of much more at the moment. So yeah, any questions on that, give me a shout, but I think that covers that stretch.